inside the mind of an entrepreneur with our very own Dwayne Morton.
All right, what's up, you guys? I want to thank you for tuning in for my third episode. Like I said before, well, if you've been following the social media, I have other short episodes. It's involving other guests, so it's pertaining to particular topics that we're talking about. So the most recent one is actually with Pixie, whom we're going to have on the show. You will be talking to her. Well, you'll be hearing her. I'll be giving her questions. She'll be answering them, and then at the same time, she is going to explain a little bit about herself, so you guys get to know her and her insight and her mind on what it's like to be an entrepreneur. And the trials and the tribulations that she's gone through, the obstacles that she had to endure, and just how she has gotten to the point that she has gotten and where she plans to go. Because for an entrepreneur, we all want to go somewhere and we never just want to stay in one place. That's the one thing when it comes to entrepreneurs, there is no, at least like what I tell you guys, my opinion and how I feel, there is no complacency. You don't want to just be stuck at one point. You know what I mean? You want to move up, you want to move forward, no matter what it is. If you fall forward, it doesn't matter which one it is. You get, as long as you have some movement forward. So, with that said, when I said fall forward, I'm going to actually speak about failure. Now, failure is a must. I feel life is full of disappointments. It's full of there's many different obstacles that you have to endure in life, and it's not easy. Success is not easy. Failure, as I said, is a must. Failure is something that comes with success. You can't win without knowing what it's like to lose. And to me that's powerful. Sometimes the most simplest things are powerful. And I feel as an entrepreneur, I'm able to take knowledge and then use that in my favor to become successful. Knowledge is power, and as cliche as that sounds, that's just what it is. It's how you, if you look at these, these millionaires, I guarantee you they're not the smartest. I know a lot of people that have money and they're not smart at all. They know their craft and they know what they're doing. They have the knowledge, they have the experience. They've lost, so they know what it's like. So I'm going to use an example. A lot of times people, they feel, I want people to understand that everybody goes through everything differently. So everybody sees everything a little bit differently. One failure may not be as much as the next person. So they may think that, oh, that's not really failure. They could have done that, X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, all right, well, to that dude, failure, that was failure. So everything is seen in a different light. So with failure, I'm going to explain mine. And I failed many times. I failed. I I'm gonna take basically my I guess you could say my biggest failure. So, and I'll always bring up after my deployment because that's really, as I said in the previous episode, that's my turning point. That was my climax. And then within that process, there was the turning point. So my biggest failure basically was once I hit that turning point. So people have to understand, even when you reach that turning point, doesn't mean that things are just going to go up. Because I reached that turning point, and then when I thought things were going to go up, they went down, and that's life. It's unexpected. It's not necessarily how you feel or you think it's going to go, but it's something that needs to happen. And if you accept that, I really feel that you can look at failure in another light, not look at it as a negative, but it just as a lesson learned, so you can move on and move forward. But so, like I said, after my deployment, we had the turning point. I I started to get more into personal training because when I was on my deployment, I would, I would train my body, and it became a form of therapy for me, and I'm like 100% sure that a lot of people can agree with that. So that's something that we all can agree on. That working out has become some sort of therapy for us. It's that's your hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Some people work out for, you know, however long. That's their therapy. That's their time, their me time. So I've done that while I was overseas. So when I came back home, like I said, I reached my turning point. It hit me, and I was like, all right, well, when I was overseas, I was like, I was able to work out and basically let go of all my problems that I had back home. So not only did I want to do that for, myself, but I wanted to do it for others because I saw how powerful it was, and how it has helped me in a big way. So I came back home. I went for my it was my personal training certification. As I went for my personal training certification, I was going through the process of basically I was working at, it was a warehouse. I won't state the actual warehouse that I was in, but I was working uh for uh for a company, for a warehouse company. I did that for as long as it gave me enough time to get my certification. When I got my certification, at that point, to me, I was like, all right, I'm good. So now the next step is obviously to start personal training. Because I wanted to do everything the right way. So once I got the personal training certification, I I I had my own place, which great. We all want our own place, wherever it may be. So I got my own place. I actually I had that place even when I got home. So even when I got home from my deployment, so I had my own place, and now I was thinking about, I was like, all right, I got a roommate. So at that point, the warehouse job, it I was thinking to myself, I was like, I can let that go, and it'll allow me to focus more on personal training. But when you're working at a warehouse job, everybody has to understand, most of the time, money is like everything to us, and that's how I feel. That's our biggest flaw and our biggest mistake as humans, or as maybe uh, as Americans, because we focus on the money, and everybody's like, oh, I got to get that money, I got to get that money, I got to get bag, whatever they want to call money. All of them, they just want to get it, and I do get that. But, and like I tell everybody, I feel May said it the best when he was like, "Oh, I don't chase money, man. Money chase me." And to me, what that means is he doesn't go after the money. He does what he wants to do and what he feels makes him, successful and makes him happy, and the money just comes. So that's how I apply myself. Now, before, as I was actually realizing that, before I actually made the move, I was, like I said, I was in the warehouse, and a lot of times it would come to me, and I'm like, all right, I need to leave, I need to leave, I need to leave. But it's like, when am I gonna leave? It's like what gives you that boost to leave? Remember, I said before I was listening to motivational speeches, so I still had that in the mix, and it's doing what it needs to do for me. So I had no complaints, but still at the same time, I'm always going to this warehouse job, and I'm wondering, and I'm thinking, I'm like, all right, I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta leave this place. So a lot of times, what would stop me is I would pull up my phone, click on the for me to see my bank account, and I'm like, all right, cool. That's why I'm not leaving because of the money. And remember what I said before? I was like, money is not everything, and I really do believe money is the root of all evil. Don't get me wrong, we all need money. And I think honestly people should get paid for their services. I'm not saying that people shouldn't. I'm not saying do everything for free because I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't plan on doing everything for free. I'm not going to do everything for free. I think people should get compensation for what they do. So at a point, I blew up while I was in the warehouse. I actually blew up and I left. I walked out in a way that I figured I wouldn't be able to come back, which wasn't really even a bad way. I just walked out. I didn't let them know I was going. I didn't do anything. I just clocked out, walked out, and I was done. So normally, what they do is they'll either coach you. So technically, it wasn't really bad on the way that I did it, but in my head, I was just like, all right, I clocked out permanently. I was done. I was not coming back. I had no plans of going back. I'm not one of those people that, and I've learned through the motivational speeches, you do not need a plan B. Like what, I don't know if you guys ever heard the motivational speeches, but like what Will Smith would say, plan B distracts you from plan A. So it really makes no sense to have a plan B. Just have a plan A and go. Like they teach you in the military, when you have an objective, you have a goal, you just go. That's all you do. You go straight forward to it. There is no, oh, I'm going to go, like, in order to get this mission done, I'm going to have to go and do this mission. No, like, your goal is that mission, and you're just going to go and do it. Regardless of what happens, whatever you need to do, you're going to do it. There's no excuses. So at that point, I leave, and I when I get actually when I get home, I feel accomplished because I was already in the process of, which is the good part too. So it's not like if I just left, but without a plan. I actually had personal training. I was working at two different gyms, and I had clients. So this is in the process of of when I wanted to quit from the warehouse job. So like I said, I had the little amount of clients that I had, and I was doing the gym floor at the same time within these two gyms. So it basically was enough for me to pay my half of the rent. Now, what ended up happening is, as soon as I end up quitting and I end up leaving, a situation happened whereas I had to actually leave the place that I was at. And the reason I had to leave it is because my roommate left. So there was no way that I could pay the full amount of rent. So coincidentally, as soon as I left the warehouse job, the one where I really didn't have to worry about any money, it's like now I had to worry about money. That's another example, is money is the root of all evil. There's many different, many different circumstances where I could use money as the root of all evil, but at the end of the day, I just feel it is because it's greed. Um, Depending on how you use it. But so now, because I didn't have the money for the rent, what I end up having to do is I had to move back home with my parents. Now, a lot of people they'll look at that as like, oh, you failed. All right, well, now what you need to do is probably go get your job back, or go get another job in a different warehouse, try to do something to make more money. No, what I end up doing is that was more motivation for me. I didn't allow that to put me in a dark place, because especially with all the motivational speeches, I already knew that that dark place is what really it's what creates like lines. You know what I mean? They usually have that description of a lion and whatnot, and how strong they are and the courage. It I feel that dark place is what creates successful people. All depends on how you handle yourself within that dark place. So, I mean, for me, going back home, that was in a dark place for me because I already reached my dark place. And so I'm looking at it and I'm like, all right, cool, this is nothing. Now, what this means is don't take advantage and don't take advantage of every situation, but you have to be careful how you take advantage of the situation. So there's two ways I can take that going back home. Some people will go back home, they'll take advantage of the situation and basically do nothing. And they'll see it as, oh, all right, well, I could just basically chill, because I don't have to pay rent, depending on your family, But with my family, they weren't really pushing me to pay rent or anything like that. So they basically they know that I'm not one of those people to freeload or anything like that. That's what I'm assuming. So I'm pretty sure they already knew that I had a plan. Now I end up back with my parents, and it's I looked at it as a good thing because then it allowed me to focus more on getting more clients, allowed me to focus more on getting more floor time, allowed me to focus more on doing more classes. So it allowed me to get my thoughts together, and that's exactly what I did. I got more classes, I got more clients, and I got more floor time. Now it got me to that point where if I wanted to, I can pay the mortgage. Honestly, I know they say the entrepreneur lifestyle and the entrepreneur being an entrepreneur is not easy. It's something that you have to just push and you got to do. There is no there really is no being relaxed. Being relaxed will make your income go down. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like you have to always be in your A game. So like I said, I was able to basically pay the mortgage. Now I always want to move up. I always want to do more. So what ended up happening is my 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 parents end up moving. I end up actually taking actually before all that, I had money in the bank for my deployment. As an entrepreneur, you take risks. I had a family friend, and the family friend he has done business with the family. So I was like, all right, I can do business with him. So I used I'm gonna say I'm not even gonna tell you a dollar amount, but I used 1/3 of my deployment money. And I mean, this is why you can't exactly trust everybody. But I gave him 1/3 of my deployment money to open up a business in Marshall's Creek. Well, this kind of tells you guys where I was going to, but whatever. I was going to open up a studio in Marshall's Creek, and this is way back in 2014. So I was going to open up a studio in Marshall's Creek. Now, I didn't necessarily know all the steps that I needed to do in order to do this. So I delegated that responsibility on him. So as he asked for money, I gave him the money. First, I was doing it piece by piece, but then after I was like, all right, well, let me just give you all of it. Gave him all the money. He was doing the things I assumed that he was supposed to do because he did make it seem like that, but eventually he ended up just was gone. He moved to I think it was California. I don't know. He kind of just disappeared. Nobody really even knew what was going on with him. Uh, I lost a lot of money that day, and this was at the time when I was still with my parents. So yeah, I lost a lot of money. I really got screwed. I really got screwed then. But at the end of the day, even though I lost a lot of money, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I've lost even more money, on on basically on someone that I was with while I was deployed. So it just didn't matter to me anymore. I honestly, I didn't even get mad about it. I mean, I was bothered about it, but I wasn't even. I mean, what was I gonna do? Like, oh, I'm gonna go find a person. Well, I'm gonna go to Cali with money that I don't have. You know what I mean? So it was just like I stayed focused. Uh, and did and do realize I lost a lot of money, but the money's gone. Money's meant to circulate. Money's meant to just be spent. I get it. I didn't really spend that money. I lost that money. But you know what? That happens all the time. People lose money all the time. I just used that as a lot of a lesson learned, which was a lot of money. So I got to the point where it was like, all right, still plan A, but how am I going to achieve this? Now that I lost all that money and I can't open up a studio. So I just kept pushing and personal training, doing all that. I end up what ended up happening is my parents end up moving to New York, and I end up taking control of the house and just paying the bills. Now, fortunately, which is something that was kind of like out of the blue. I was hustling, doing what I needed to do, but I was able to at a point to purchase a gym. Now, before I purchased the gym, I actually was gonna go online full time because I've learned as I learned as an entrepreneur in your personal training, time time is everything. Time you can't buy back. I don't care what anybody says, you can't buy time. I know what they're saying. Oh, you can buy things to have people to do things so you can save time, but you can't buy time. Saving time and buying time are two different things. You can't buy time. Once time is gone, it's gone. So I wanted to do things online so I can reach people in like mass amounts. And at the same time, obviously, the income, I would be able to at least achieve an income level that I receive, personal training and teaching classes and doing floor time. So I was trying to receive that same amount of income basically while doing, just doing strictly online. Now, before I could even do that, I had the opportunity of getting the gym. So I end up seizing that opportunity because, like my one client says, things are for a season. So, meaning once that season's over. It may come back, well, it will come back around, and maybe be like different circumstances and situations. But once the season's done, it's done for the year. So it was my season, and I made sure I seized that moment, that opportunity. A season is another reason for is another word for an opportunity in my mind. So I seized the opportunity. Now, when I seized the opportunity, it was the responsibility of a gym is big. So I have the gym, and it took me an extremely long time to basically get the gym together, especially when it was really just me. But then after that, also my fiance would help me. So it was I did have help, and other people would ask to help, but I'm the kind of person who I like to do it for myself. And then plus at the same time, you don't want to get too many hands, you know, especially if you're a perfectionist, you don't want to get too many hands in a pot because then it's like, all right, things are not exactly the way that you want it to be. So it took me, I'm gonna say, about 2 years to try to get the place in a better spot than it was. And I really I feel and I know it's not in the spot that it could be and needs to be, but it's on its way. There's a and I'm the main piece for the reason for it not being where it's supposed to be at. So I take responsibility. And as an entrepreneur, I feel you should always take responsibility for everything that happens. Even if you don't feel that it's your fault or or whatnot, still no matter what, it still falls on you regardless. So if it's not your fault, I guarantee you I could find a way to be like, hey, it's your fault. That's just the way it is. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you have to accept that responsibility. You have to accept all that. Now, I I had the gym. Like I said, it took like 2 3 years. I think we're at a yeah. I'm at my fourth year mark, and it's still not where it needs to be at. Uh, I like I said before, and I was stating all those before. There was a lot of failures within the process. So the point of this me telling all you guys all this is, as you see, it was like a roller coaster. I know you guys see on like Facebook, you see on whatever social media, they'll show you like life is like a roller coaster. You know what I mean? All those things that they do show it's real. My life was like a roller coaster. My I guess you could say my success was like a roller coaster. It's not over. You know what I mean? When I think people say success, I feel like it's not. Success can be viewed as different things. Would I say that I'm successful? I would say I would say I'm doing my best. That's what I would say. As successful, uh, no, because I would just say I'm doing my best because successful, usually that's like at your end goal. At least I would feel it is because successful, what's the next step of successful? You know what I mean? It's I really don't feel once you're successful, I feel like it's kind of like you peaked, and everything else is just extra. I did not peak. I'm still in the process. I'm still going through the roller coaster, so now, like I said, I said all this to you guys because I want you to understand failure. And I want you to understand it's a beautiful thing. Failure is not something bad. Failure, like I said, is just another word for lesson learned. You have to look at it in a different light. You can't look at it in a negative way. Everybody fails. I guarantee you the billionaire fails probably, well, not probably. He does fail more than the person who, I don't know if you that I guess people would say, is a loser because he's not doing anything. Usually people like that, they just accepted failure, like they don't even care anymore. Me, I mean, I do care, and I believe we have one life, at least that I know of. We have one life to live, and I'm gonna fail throughout my life so many times to the point where I'm so successful that it's like I can look on those failures and be like, and just laugh. You know what I mean? That's what you always want to do. You want to be able to laugh at your failures. You want to be able to say, "Hey, that's something that got me to this next level." I really feel to get to that next level, you always got to fail because there's no way you can learn unless you really fail. I mean, that's how I feel. If you're really gonna be able to jump up, you have to fail. So I want everybody to know that don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid, period. That's another thing too. Don't ever be afraid of anything. If it doesn't kill you, like they say, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. And that point blank that's the truth. If it doesn't kill you, it does make you stronger. So if you fail, not only is it a lesson learned, that lesson learned does make you stronger. Everything comes together full circle. That's what everybody has to understand. Everything is it's like they're all cousins. You know what I mean? It's a whole network of words that are just all together that bind together, and we really don't realize it. But I want to encourage everybody to fail. Take that leap of faith. You know what I mean? If you're not gonna die, then I guarantee you're only gonna learn. So I'll take one thing as an example, and tell you guys basically this podcast that I'm doing. I failed many times with that too, and this is just a little example. I failed with that, and I grew with that because look at the point where I'm at now. It may be something little, but I've done it, and I have you guys as an example too. Give you another example. Listen to my first episode. I failed there. I failed there too, and I'm pretty sure once you listen to it, you'll realize it. Because when I started the podcast, and I'm hoping this mic is the one that's going on, but on the first podcast, on the first episode, I thought this mic was on. This mic wasn't on. The mic to the camera was on. So when you listen to me, I sound like I'm at a distance. So I did the whole podcast that way. And then after that, when I started to listen to it, I realized that the mic was never even on. So and then after that, it put on the mic to the camera. So I basically failed there too, especially as a perfectionist. I definitely failed there. So, but I still put it out there. I still put it out for people to listen because at the end of the day, you just have to do it. Everything's not going to work out the way that you want it to work out. You can only hope for the best and you can only do your best. You know what I mean? So failure, like I said, is a must. It's a given. It's something that's just going to happen. That's part of obstacles. That's part of everything in life. So I failed with little things. I failed with big things. Like I said, my biggest is deployment. After the deployment, and the little ones, like I said, is with this podcast. Just everything is a lesson learned, and everybody has to take that in stride, and they really have to. They have to think. We have a mind. We have a brain. Like I said, inside the mind of an entrepreneur, I really feel that's like their biggest weapon is your mind. And not just an entrepreneur, but everybody. I really believe everybody has an entrepreneur in them. So I'm not one person that's like, oh, that person's born with it. I don't feel somebody's born with an entrepreneur mindset. I think they see things in a different light sometimes, but a lot of times they don't know what they have. They don't know what they see. And it just depends on their environment, depends on the people around them. So just really think about that. And what I'm trying to get you guys to do is if you want to take that leap of faith, you just take that leap of faith. You really don't question it. You think of ways of how you'll take it. All right. So before we wrap this up, I just also want to point out to you guys that, as I stated before, we have the Inside the Mind of an Entrepreneur, Inside the Mind of an Entrepreneur shirt. Now, if you check out at the bottom here, we have the website www.insidethemindofan-entrepreneur.com. You go on there, you guys can purchase a shirt. As I stated before in the previous episode, what we're going to end up doing is those who purchase the shirt, we're going to put them in a raffle, and then after that, we're going to do a cash giveaway. So whether if you have Cash App, whatever, where we can basically put the cash in. Now, there's different shirts there. You guys can get a shirt. You guys can get a sweater. We have the regular sweaters. We have the crop top sweaters, and we have the female shirts too. So female shirts, male shirts, because they're cut a little bit differently. I want you guys to know I'm a very meaningful person. At least I feel. Things that I wear and things that I do, all of them have meaning. So you guys will see that I normally don't do jewelry. I don't do Rolexes. I don't do any of that fancy jewelry. I mostly do, if anything, beads. I like beads because they have meaning. So I'll also be doing, like, it'll be little podcasts where we're going to be talking basically about the beads and just the meaning of them. And then after that, I'll explain it and how it has meaning to me and apply it to my life as well. And, I'm hoping everybody basically would do the same. We'll give them I want everybody to get to think, you know what I mean? I don't want people to just go through the motions of life. Part of Inside the Mind of an Entrepreneur is to get you to think. So everything that I do, everything that I say, like I said, has thought and has meaning to it. And I want to be able to stimulate that part of the mind for everybody else. So, like I said, I'll be doing little podcasts like you guys saw with the Twitter business with Pixie. I believe that's like a 4 minutes and 30-second podcast. So we'll have little stuff like that. We'll do that with the jewelry. I'll explain the jewelry and what it means. So like everything that you see, everything, you guys will learn the meaning on that, and you will learn, the significance of it to me. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Like I said, make sure you check out the website. And if you guys have any questions, you guys can always comment. You guys can always hit up the email. It's inside the mind of an entrepreneur 0@gmail.com. So thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed what it's like to be inside the mind of an entrepreneur. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Inside the Mind of an Entrepreneur.